Hey everyone, and welcome. In this video, you will learn how to get an edge using the game's core mechanics to your advantage. Angle and PEEKER'S advantage are both key concepts you can use to improve your play by giving yourself a better chance in your engages. By learning how these things work, as well as pro tips and strategies to maximize their effects, you can bring your game to the next level. But before we get into that, do you find yourself struggling to win gunfights? Are you a bit lost on what you should be doing in-game? Or maybe you find yourself stuck at your current rank? Well, don't worry, as our brand new hyper improvement system is specifically designed to solve these problems. At SkillCapped.com, you'll finally learn how to improve your aim, different techniques to win gunfights, and so much more. We have professional courses on every single agent, map, and mechanic in Valorant. This is backed by the top pros, players, and coaches to make sure you're getting the most up-to-date and accurate info possible. In fact, we are so confident that you'll improve using our system that we offer a rank improvement guarantee. Check it out for yourself in the link below. Simply put in what rank you're currently stuck at and find out what rank you're guaranteed by using our system. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your true potential and get the rank you've always wanted at SkillCapped.com, link in the description below. Without further ado, let's talk about how to optimize your peaks and some pro tips for helping you win more duels. Getting into PEEKER'S advantage, our first topic. There's a reason it's important to understand the way the game is built on a technical level to maximize how you take advantage of the game's innate mechanics. Anytime you move in Valorant, what you do and where you are is sent to the server. When you peek another player, your location is sent from the server to your opponent 128 times per second in Valorant, as Riot's using those 128 tick dedicated servers. However, the time it takes for this information to reach your opponent's game is dependent on their ping. And since their ping is never going to be 0, there will almost always be a slight delay on how fast they can see you. Now, Riot's claim on the release of Valorant was that they were eliminating PEEKER'S advantage entirely. But when you see their fix as they detailed in a PC Gamer interview from March, you can see how there are some issues. Riot placed routers at internet traffic hubs around the world to give a prioritization to their information, aiming to cut down the time data takes to reach the computer of someone getting peeked. Unfortunately, this is still not instantaneous, and PEEKER'S can still have an advantage of at least around 60 milliseconds. This might not sound like a lot, but when compared to the average human reaction time of 284 milliseconds, it can be the difference between a kill and a death. Think of how many times it seems like you are killed by a peeking opponent with practically 0 time to react. Those occurrences happen when you get peeked and they are able to hit an extremely accurate or lucky shot before your brain can even react to the server updating your game state. All this to say that although Riot have drastically reduced PEEKER'S advantage relative to other shooting games, when you're playing aggressive, you do get more information faster than your opponent. So how can you use PEEKER'S advantage for yourself? Well, as stated earlier, PEEKER'S advantage benefits aggressive players because it gives them those extra milliseconds compared to the person they are peeking. Playing more offensively in the right situations is a good way to abuse this mechanic and give yourself the upper hand. Keep in mind this is assuming you and your opponent are both looking at each other when you peek. If you're just blindly peeking and you need to spend time finding where your opponent is, not only are you not getting any advantage, but you are actively hurting your chances when you peek. PEEKER'S advantage is best used when you know exactly where the opponent is, allowing you to decisively clear them out and use the valuable milliseconds during which your opponent can't see you yet, but you can see them. Another great time to abuse this mechanic is when you are jiggle peeking. If you consider the way PEEKER'S advantage works, giving you extra milliseconds before you can be seen by an enemy, you can understand how jiggle peeking is made much more effective by the concept of PEEKER'S advantage. Since you're exposing yourself for such a small amount of time when jiggling, you are much less vulnerable than normal. Riot has tried to nerf this by making the jiggle peek speed slower than other tactical shooters and adding server-side movement prediction, but jiggling is still a great way to take advantage of the delay in information that the player you're peeking faces. Moving on to angle advantage, the next type of advantage. Angle advantage is often confused with PEEKER'S advantage, but they are not the same thing at all. While PEEKER'S advantage is based on networking, angle advantage would exist even in the perfect game. Angle advantage is simply the use of perspective to see opponents earlier. Think about it, the closer you are to an object, the bigger the object appears, right? The size of the object isn't changing, but due to your perspective, it obscures more of your vision. The same thing applies as you get further from angles in this game. less of your vision is obscured by the wall and you can now effectively see more space. Riot Tuxedo took to Twitter to show the magnitude of this effect. As you can see, player A has an advantage over player B because of player A's distance from the angle. Player A is able to see the side of player B's body, while player B is unable to see player A at all. The effect of perspective in games like Valorant is exacerbated by the fact that vision comes from the center of the agent's head rather than each of the two eyes. In this picture, you can see how Viper's proximity to the wall and the fact that the vision is coming from the center of her head means she cannot see her opponent around the wall. Meanwhile, Jett is standing slightly farther back from the angle and is thus able to see Viper's arm. This information about angle advantage can be game changing and is one of the things I see many beginner to intermediate players mess up a lot. By not using your perspective to your advantage, you are seriously hurting your chances every time you take a duel. Simply peeking less close to a wall can give you vital information faster. Peeking further away from a wall is great when you're clearing corners where defenders play tightly. A great example is washrooms on bind, as we saw earlier with the Viper and Jett. When you clear corners in this way, the defender will not be able to see you immediately when you're able to see them. This doesn't mean you should always stand as far away from angles as possible. If standing further away from an angle lets you see more of the map, it also lets you be more seen. Think about the earlier example of jiggle peeking. If you try to do it standing further away from the wall, you will expose more of yourself when you peek, negating the entire point of jiggle peeking. Another example of how this mechanic can work against you is when using the operator. Since peeking far away from a wall makes it hard for you to get back to cover and leaves you more exposed than normal, doing so with an op just amplifies the vulnerability built into that gun. Since op kills are so quick, you often don't need to play that far away from a wall. You can also use strategies to reduce the way this mechanic benefits your opponents. The biggest cases of angle advantage are when the player with the advantage is as far away as possible from the angle, such as C-Long on Haven. This means if you're pushing something like C-Long, it is smart to not do it slowly, because the defender will see you extremely early and have lots of time to shoot you way before you can see them. Even though disadvantages in these situations are unavoidable, being aggressive is much better than maximizing your disadvantage by being way too slow. Now that we have gone over angle advantage and peeker's advantage, let's look at how the two concepts can interact with each other. The first example is using angle advantage to offset peeker's advantage when holding a sight. This means you can avoid standing too close to obstacles to make sure your opponent isn't able to see the side of your body while you can't see them at all. Think about holding washrooms from A site on bind. If you play too close to the box, your opponent can easily shoot the left side of your body while your vision is blocked. By holding the angle further, you can see them at the same time or even earlier than they can see you. If you defend very tight, you might be able to catch rushing attackers off guard, but as a round draws longer and opponents are less likely to rush onto a site, playing too close to an angle just adds to your disadvantage. The disadvantage I'm talking about being the built-in peeker's advantage we have in the game. Remember, if you are getting peeked, you will see the opponent milliseconds after they see you, somewhat depending on the server refresh, but mainly on your ping. Using angle advantage to see them earlier can help negate this disadvantage, especially if your opponent doesn't know your exact location. This takes us to the next example of angle advantage and peeker's advantage interacting. While the previous example was using angle advantage to nullify the attacker's advantage when peeking, this example involves combining the two to gain a decisive advantage over a defender. As we looked at earlier, when clearing corners slowly to see the opponent before they can see you, we can use angle advantage and see our opponents earlier by straying further from the wall. By pairing this with a peek, allowing you to see your opponents slightly before they see you due to the time it takes for the network to update their game state, you are now adding together the two advantages, greatly increasing how much earlier you see them than when they see you. Of course, this may only come out to 100 milliseconds, but that can be the difference between life and death in a game of Valorant. Sometimes it's true, just slowly clearing an angle and shooting them while they can't see you seems better, but it's not always possible due to round time or position on the map. sometimes you need to peek your opponent. If you're playing aggressively, combining angle and peeker's advantage by staying farther from an angle than the defender while also peeking, you can gain a huge edge over your opponent. Angle and peeker's advantage will exist in nearly every interaction you have in Valorant, but using the strategies outlined in this video, you can maximize them in your favor while minimizing them for your enemies. And remember, if you want to improve, win more gunfights, and get the rank you've always wanted, then check out SkillCapped.com, link in the description below. So what part of these concepts do you need to work on? Are you having problems grasping how angle advantage works, or are you lacking experience as a peeker and need to work on your aggression? Let us know in the comment section below, as it gives us great feedback on what to tailor our guides towards. And while you're down there, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell icon, and like the video to get more premium guides just like this one, with one goal in mind: helping you become a better player. We here at SkillCapped want to thank you for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.